Welcome back to the big question. So examinations, national examinations should be underway both for primary and secondary schools, but with the teacher strike, it throws us all in warp, and we're not quite sure what exactly is happening. And that's why we are speaking to the CEO of the Kenya National Examination Council. But let's see the questions that you're sending in and how you feel basically about a raging stalemate that now is throwing exams possibly into chaos. The big question, will exams continue as scheduled, and how will KNEC tackle marking? Good question. Who is administering and supervising the ongoing KCSE since teachers are on strike? Another valid question. How will KNEC ensure that the students do their exams honestly if the teachers will not have ended the strike? Another, do you consider leniency for pupils from public schools during marking since they have not been in school? Who will procure the materials and prepare laboratories for practical examinations? All these questions, each and every one of them, are very valid, and we certainly will do our best to answer them. Let me introduce to you Dr. Joseph Kivilu, who is the CEO of KNEC. Thank you so much for coming to the program. So let's start from the very beginning, right? Practicals should be underway. Teachers are still on strike. What is and what isn't happening? Are those practicals right now going on across the country?
Yes, there are practicals for foreign languages. So that is French, Germany, Arabic, and we have also practicals for music.
Okay.
Since we started on Friday last week by training the assessors, we have not received any information that the exam is experiencing or the administration of the same is facing any problems. The assessors normally do not require invigilator supervisors. These are like examiners, they are teachers, and they have been trained over time by the council. We have contracts with them, and so we send them to selected centers, that is examination centers, which of course are schools. And the assessors will work with the school administration in arranging the candidates for the practicals, which are orals and all that.
So are these assessors entirely new, if you like, to the system, or are these the ones that you've been previously working with?
These are the assessors we have used over the years. They are led, there are coordinators among them who are supposed to be the chief assessors or examiners, and we have other categories, just the way we have examiners, chief examiners, assistant chief examiners, and all that. And their work is to visit these schools and conduct those practicals. At the end of that, they will hand over the marks to the council.
All right, you're saying that these are assessors that you have been using prior to the strike, but the Kupet and NUT both have told that their members to stay away from these examinations. So how can we be sure that these are in fact the ones who have previously been in the system, or whether you've recruited new ones?
We have not recruited new ones. We had we expected about 185 of them. I think we were only short by 2. The rest attended, and they are all...
Only 2 striking teachers
did not attend. Yes.
Wow.
But they had reasons. Some were the Muslims. They had attended some church, or rather Muslim function, a mosque, and they were to report to their stations in a later date. But they all attended.
So both were Muslims. Stayed away.
That's the information. That's the information I got.
All right. So you're saying teachers have basically defied NUT and Kupet?
I wouldn't say they have defied their union. These are committed professionals. We have contracts with them, and we have specific requirements between us as the council and the contracted professionals, as we call them. And we pay them the rates that we have been paying them over time, and we have not changed that. I think they are just committed professionals who want to do their job.
So this strike has not affected the council and your examination process in any way, the timetable, nothing?
Of course we are worried. As a council, we feel it's only teachers who can provide the professional service during examinations in terms of invigilation, supervision, marking, and all that. But the fact that there is a strike, it puts us in a bit of a problem. But we are working closely with the schools, especially secondary schools, that many of them have teachers in school. They may not be all of them, but we have quite considerable number of teachers in schools.
So if the invigilators are as were, and only 2 have failed to show up, what are you worried about? What has been the challenge?
Actually, we are not worried. As a council, we have been in contact with the county directors of education, who normally recruit invigilators and supervisors on our behalf. And the report we are getting is that the response that teachers are showing is quite impressive. Even in some areas, they are saying they don't need to recruit new invigilators or supervisors because they are using last year's database that they used to do the exam. So I think we feel comfortable a bit, but we would pray that this strike comes to an end so that we can have everyone involved in the activity.
You would forgive those who say that perhaps you're painting the picture a little rosier than it actually is. But, you know, should this appeal, the one currently in the courts, drag on into October when the main examinations are supposed to take place, practicals are for, you know, a limited number of subjects, are you concerned that you will not have enough teachers on hand?
We are not really concerned. You know, apart from the public schools teachers, we also have private schools who have teachers registered by TSC. There are few compared to the public school teachers, but for the KCSC, I don't think we have a problem because we only need 30,000 of these teachers to be invigilators and supervisors. And I think that number, I can say we have been informed, is available in the counties.
All right. Are you concerned about the safety of children in the schools right now? Because the object of the strike is to paralyze learning, which includes examinations, to the extent that it forces government's hand. And so if you are basically here saying that everything is going on according to schedule, are you not concerned that those who are still on strike may wish to disrupt this examination process?
You know, we don't work together. We don't work alone. We are working closely with the security agencies, government security agencies, and to disrupt learning or even examination in a school is a criminal offense. And I think the government is taking care of that. We have requested for reinforcement around schools so that no one can interfere with the examination that is taking place.
Do you have figures on hand? How many, do you have any figures or assurances, if you like, from government in terms of the security requirements? How many additional, is it police officers that would you be seeking to have deployed?
We have provided all that information to government.
Would you provide it to us, sir?
It's quite a large figure that we say if we really need it, like some areas that are prone to insecurity, we have requested for additional armed police officers. Where we used to have only 2, we are requesting for 6. Not every part of the country, but specific areas where insecurity could be a problem. Okay. For the teachers to disrupt the administration of the exam, that's likely a different issue. Because if we feel the students are threatened, the local security agencies give reinforcement.
And you're saying as it stands, you do not feel that way?
I don't feel there's a threat.
Okay. And for the areas that are prone to insecurity, which specific areas are you referring to?
You know very well, areas in the northeastern counties like Garissa, Mandela, Wajir. We have also other areas like Turkana, Tana River. the Coast Kwale and areas like those are areas that we have been working with government closely to ensure that we reinforce security around schools so that our students are secure.
We've heard the Kenya National Union of Teachers allege that government is considering deploying NYS youth to basically supervise these examinations. Is that something that is taking place? Is that a consideration at all?
Not at all. We have always worked with the National Youth Service, especially when we receive examination consignments from abroad. We have always worked with them, but we have never, and we don't intend to use them during the administration of this exam. Their work stops at the receiving of the consignment of examinations.
The biggest question really is about the credibility of these examinations moving forward. For obvious reasons, children in public schools have not had the occasion to complete their learning as those in private schools have. Basically, no learning has taken place in the third term, no revision. Can you still call these examinations credible when a critical mass has not been able to complete their learning in order to enable them to sit for the exam?
You know, these kids are completing a certain cycle of education, and they need to be certified to have gone through this rite of passage. For us to stop them from achieving that, I think we are doing disservice to our country and the youth. The students are ready to do exams, and if anyone has any candidate who has indicated that he or she is not ready to write the exams, I'll be happy to have that complaint. We have not received any complaint.
But you
so for us is to enable these young people complete their exams so that they can move to the next level of life.
So you're saying to me that if there is a parent or a student watching this at home and they feel that they, because of the strike, have not been able to complete the process of learning, that you are prepared to allow them to sit these examinations at a later date? Does that come with a penalty?
No, not a later date. This being a national exam, it's all done at the same time. We also ensure we adhere to our rules and regulations to make sure our standards and the credibility of the exam is maintained. We cannot say, for example, use people who are not professionals in the field to administer the exam, supervise, or even mark. We cannot do that.
One would imagine that conversely, you would also not allow an examination to take place when the students have not been able to complete or prepare adequately for that particular examination.
You see, our contract with the students is that at the end of this period, when we send the timetables, they work towards that. And most schools, and I think if I was to ask even the teachers, most schools cover these syllabuses before the end of second term.
But do you know that for a fact? Are you able to ascertain that this number of schools were able to complete the syllabus, and therefore for those schools, the candidates should pretty much be able to go ahead with their examinations and, you know, say that there wasn't any kind of, you know, disenfranchisement on their part?
Most times the third term used for revision is not really to cover certain areas that were not covered in second term or during the 4 years, if it's Form 4 or 8 years in primary. But it will be difficult for me as the national examiner to get that information.
But
it can only come from the ministry or from the agencies that are responsible to monitor learning.
Let me rephrase it this way. You've just said that no one has put out a formal complaint to say that they were unable to finish their, you know, the curricula, and for that reason they are unable to sit the examinations.
Yes.
So I will start again from that point. Should somebody come forward and say, in my school, in my class, we were not able to finish the curriculum, and therefore I cannot sit for the examinations, what would the response of the council be? Normally,
being an exam that is administered nationally, if you miss this exam that is being administered now, we can only offer it to you in the next round, which of course means the 2016 examination. Many times there are people who get towards the exam time and they are not able to write it for various reasons. Some fall sick and others possibly are not in a position to write the exam. What they do, they register for the following year and they do exam a difference of 1 year and they are able to write the exam.
But the other thing that you are saying is that it is for perhaps the Ministry of Education or some other body to say that in this number of schools they were not able to finish the examinations and as a result they cannot sit for it. But I suppose I'm asking, if you would excuse the phrase, purely from a logical point of view, no, the council knowing full well that a strike is ongoing, that some initiative would be taken on your part to ascertain what the actual situation has been in these schools and then to determine whether or not they can sit for the examination, because the credibility of that examination also depends on whether learners have been able to complete learning.
That's true.
So have you taken any such steps?
We do monitoring of what is happening in schools. We have our own officers doing, like around this time, we do a lot of briefing, sensitization for various exams. And during those times, when we visit the field, we are able to interact with the teachers. There are many who call us and give us updates of what is happening throughout the country. So we are kept informed of what is going on in the field. Including
the teachers currently who are on strike. There
are principals in schools. There are deputies in schools. So you may have some teachers out of school, but we are able to interact with quite a number of them.
There are those who are asking whether you'll be considering the fact that if children have not been, stable at school because of the, the strike, etc., or even just having that interaction with their teachers in the third term to help them revise and so on, that they are disadvantaged compared to their private school counterparts, and as such, when marking the examinations, that a special consideration should be given to them in terms of the grade. Is that something you would consider?
Normally, we don't do that. We assess students according to their performance. We are not likely to give them special consideration. We expect them to be revising even when the teachers are away, and we'll give them a common exam. That is why it is called a national examination.
And you're also using the word normally, and this isn't a normal situation.
Teachers have gone on strike a number of times
before. You're
used to
it.
No, not really. It's not something good to get used to it. But we always manage to administer these exams, of course, with a few challenges here and there. I can't say it's smooth going. We are going to experience quite a number of challenges, but we are working closely with the school managers and even the communities around some schools, even to communities, to provide security where students could be threatened.
Two final questions. The first being, do you not see that by going ahead that you're possibly opening yourself up to legal battles if parents were to feel that their children did not perform well and that the strike did contribute to that? Do you not see yourselves in court?
We are ensuring that we adhere to the rules and regulations that are set up in our acts. We will ensure that we don't use professionals that are not in the education sector. We use teachers, and for supervision, marking and all that, we use registered teachers by the TSC. These are qualified professionals who will guide us in terms of all these processes. At the end of it, if there could be lapses out there, then we'll consider them the way we normally consider like malpractices of cheating and others, so that we give the Kenyan child the grades they are worth.
Finally, El Nino expected to be coming up. Are you concerned at all that this could disrupt distribution of learning materials and even the preparations, the actual exams? And what are the plans in place?
We have been working closely with the government, national government. We have been given assurance that they will set or have helicopters and other means of transport to areas that we may not reach. We have done this before. Remember the Kapedo issue last year? It was instantly dealt with by the government. We got helicopters that took that exam there. We are not anticipating any problem in those cases where there could be El Nino, but
and
of
the
course,
centers themselves?
The centers.
Yes, that's in distribution. What about the actual center? Flooding of the center?
The flooding of the centers, of course, that we leave it to the communities and the schools so that they can secure the centers as we deliver examination. This is a collective activity.
You're not in it alone.
KNEC cannot do it alone. We have to be assisted by the community, the teachers who are currently on strike, and even the government, which is supporting us a lot.
Counting on a lot of goodwill, you are.
Yes.
All right, we'll see if we'll get it. Let's take a look at what Kenyans are saying about this conversation.
Okay, thank you.
All right. The current state of affairs is affecting mental preparedness of students. Do you care about that? Do you care about the mental preparedness of the students?
I do. It's not just the studying that is important for a child. The child has to be emotionally prepared for this exam.
Do you feel that Kenyan children are, after what they've been through in this sector?
I think I really feel for them.
All right, we need to separate teacher strike and the KNEC exams, which aren't part of teachers' grievances. KNEC isn't TSC. The problem is not teachers, but union officials. I think the CEO of the KNEC should reschedule the examination because I guarantee some students will surely fail. Did you at ever any point consider rescheduling these examinations? We have never.
There is one time they were done, they were rescheduled for a week or two. Was it 2013 or sometimes? Yeah.
But I'm talking about in this current round where literally the entire third term nothing has happened. Did you at any point consider that the exams should be rescheduled?
Not yet. It's just 1 month, and 1 month is not a long time.
Okay, let's take a look at a final one here. Our children are really suffering. Please let the government intervene. I'm not sure what intervention can be given at this point, but we hear you. Children definitely have been through a lot. I thank you so much for your time, and you've expressed a lot of confidence in this program. We'll see whether it was well placed as examinations go ahead.
Of course, we also need to pray.
We also need to pray.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe not that confident. Divine intervention necessary as well.
That's also to be there.
All right. I thank you. I thank you for your time.
Thank you very much.
CEO of the Kenya National Examinations Council, Dr. Joseph Kivilu. We're back with more news after this.